Good evening guys, and welcome to this video. And what I have here for this particular review is Transformers Generations Titans Return Leader Class Blaster, a figure that I've been quite excited and have been anticipating for a while. So I'm very glad to get him on hand, and obviously let me just push this up now so that get it to the proper mode. And obviously I have a G1 reissue blaster here for comparison. So what we have here is obviously the what they call the boom box mode, and you know the Headmaster twin cast in a rather forgettable accessory. I've got stripes in there, which is I much rather prefer a transformable figure in there, and here we have the G1 figure, you know, as a side by side. You know, that's really a more a much more modern, I guess, appearing thing. That's a more classical appearing tape recorder. So you know, make up your mind which pulls it off a bit better. You know, I think it's really quite subjective. That's really, I guess, been a classic for a long time. I don't know whether that's actually a real player. I'm not sure whether there was such a player that took that shape. But you know, side by side, the leader class obviously is a I guess bigger in almost all dimensions. It's certainly thicker, it's wider, and I guess the body of the G1 player was a little bit higher, but certainly this has the bulk of it. And in terms of weight, this is slightly heavier, you know, which says a lot for the G1 toy for its era. Okay, so let's put that aside now and look at the transformation. I really don't have much to say about this. I'm not that impressed about that accessory, and but you know, twin cast is not too shabby a figure here. So if we can get this into focus, there's a bit of detail on the face there, and you know, I guess very sharp looking black legs. Twin cast, I think it should be a blue figure. I don't know how often twin cast is red, but twin cast normally is blue. You know, and sharp paint job on the head there. Okay, so transformation, obviously, again, fold up the Titan Master into the head. Now, I'm going to do the base mode first for completion, but one weakness for this is the tabs are rather soft. You know, they don't hold enough, tight enough on mine, and particularly on the left side, it keeps wanting to pop out whenever I shake it a little bit. You know, I just managed to get it to pop in properly for the review, but it is a little bit tenuous. Okay, so transforming into base mode, first we want to open the speaker sections, fold out the, I guess, the side weapons, which are really the feet in robot mode, right to the back. And there's a little red part that actually allows you to extend it out, and then fold out the, I don't know what these are, sensor arrays I suppose you call them. Now for the actual speaker covers inside there, you want to fold out the ramps, which I guess if you're going to get the other toys that are compatible with, there are connectors here to make your base bigger. Go ahead and inject your cassette or whatever else you have in there, and I'm going to put that aside. This is stripes, of course. I much rather have you know, have this figure as a steel jaw, you know, much more recognizable. I don't know who Stripes is, but you know, there we have it. That's what they gave us. And then in here, you want to fold up that little seat, get the target open, and then fold the seat down. And that's where the target master goes in base mode. So actually, I made a mistake of folding that out. That guy can sit there. I've got the gun stored at the back here. So you take the gun out, and what you want to do is put it into the little gun holder, which is inside the front cover. And that's your kind of little target master, not target master, Titan Master seat with the turret there at the front. With the hands, you want to fold it up and get this back to about 45 degrees and fold out the turrets there. And then this thing can lean back a bit. I like to lean back a bit so that I can attach the disco lights, you know, whatever you want to call that, attachment at the top. And there we have it. That's the, let me just get that a bit higher. That's the base mode here. And I totally wasn't interested in this, to be honest. I wasn't gonna get Fortress Maximus, and I don't see myself ever displaying the figure in base mode. I think it's rather forgettable, to be honest. You know, I mean, but it is a mode that they've built in there. Okay, so let's get him onto robot mode, which is really what I want to get to and what I am more interested in. So get the gun out, fold the seat in, and close the panel there. Fold the Titan Master back up, obviously, and you've got the gun here. And now with the base here, you want to get the ramps back in. And there's little bits here which you know, fold up in transformation that you have to get past to get the ramps in. It just makes it a little bit tricky. Okay, so for the legs, before you get there, you want to flip these hip shields up, I suppose you can call them, and you want to then fold the leg down, and then there's another red bit here that allows you to extend the leg, and go ahead and pop that out and extend it to the extended position. You want to fold the feet out and fold this sensor bit in, right? So that's your feet. And then go ahead and close this bit up and fold this in so that you get, and then this little tabs go in here, and that closes up the feet. And that's the, you know, fake speaker up the front there, and you do the same on the other side. So I'm gonna fold the feet out, fold the sensor array in, and get the feet into position. Go ahead and fold this down, and then extend the leg to the proper position. And I've gone and snapped off that ramp there, which is another, I guess, weakness. Actually, it does tend to want to snap out. You know, I'm just going to leave that off. You know, it does snap back in, but it snaps out fairly easily. You don't need it for the robot. And then go ahead and fold that in and complete the leg on that side, and that's pretty much the lower limbs for the hip shields, or whatever you want to call those, back in, and you can stand them up now. Okay, so let me just put this up a bit. This is gonna struggle to fit this into frame here. Okay, so at the top here, you can already see where the hands are. I think you know, fold the little guns up there, fold the shoulders down to the, I guess, a more routine position, and then fold the hands out, and then I can pop the gun onto the right hand as you normally would. With this one, you can get that down. I'll just take that off to show you. So for the rear here, you open the rear panel, and then the cover for the face, the helmet folds out, and then you can close that back, and that cover obviously sits above the Headmaster or Titan Master. So go ahead and pop the Titan Master on, and then you got your blaster look like that. And then what I'd like to do is actually keep this disco light thing up the top, so that I keep the chest cavity free for you know, the characters that I actually want to be in the chest cavity, rather than that disco piece. Okay, so just gonna get him to stand if I can. It's a little bit tricky actually. Okay, so there we have it. That's apologize, it's not completely in frame, but that's essentially how he looks like. What I'm going to do now is transform G1 Blaster to put him side by side off frame. Okay, and there we have it. G1 blaster. He's actually slightly taller at the head level, interestingly. And there's the side by side, and certainly I think there's some overcompensation going on here with the gun. But you know, one interesting thing about Blaster is that his gun is quite. I guess there's a certain very unique and distinctive look to it, and they've have tried to maintain that across the generations. So you know, I'm very glad we finally have a modern blaster figure that actually turns into an object, you know, an object former, as opposed to I guess that horrendous 2008 universe figure, you know, that stealth bomber figure, which really I steered clear of. And then in 2012, I think we had the Fall of Cybertron figure, which was not a bad figure, but it wasn't a boombox, you know. So I did get the figure, but I wasn't really superbly happy about it. And you know, it's gonna, I guess it's gonna sit in the cupboard now. Okay, this guy's not very happy about things. Yeah, so you know, that's really the blasters we've had. I also have this figure. This is the device label, and you know, it transforms into a Toshiba laptop. It does hold a mini cassette here, which was nice, but you know, for the transformation you had to fold the head in, and then you couldn't keep the cassette in. So it was really a rather, you know, it's sharp looking, obviously a licensed figure with Toshiba, but it was rather forgettable, you know, despite the fact that it's actually a functional USB, what do you call it, the USB dock, there's basically a splitter. You know, forgettable. You know, I've put a gun on it, but it didn't come with one. But you know, you can see it's got that distinctive blaster gun design, which pleasingly is carried on. Now, if you can tell me, if anybody can look at that and tell me which figure that came on, you know, kudos to you. It didn't come with this, and I was glad that the 5mm fitted this, so I could use this for display, and has been my display blaster for a while. But I think this guy's going to take over. Okay, so what don't I? What I like about this figure, I think. Firstly, I would say I like the robot. It's sturdy, it's robust, it's got these you know, good locking, not quite ratchets, but nice solid joints. Even though I've made a mash of it trying to stand it up, you know, it's really quite solid. You know, that, you know, positioning, that's a bit of a ratchet there. You can see a nice solid ratchet, and it's got a good muscular look, and I really, you know, I like it. It's, you know, it holds the legend size cassettes, which is fantastic. You know, I've always wanted, you know, whenever we get a blaster of sound waves, I want it to hold the equivalent cassettes or whatever happens to be the case. You know, in this case, it's like, I don't know what these are, USB players or iPods, or, you know, MP3 players, I suppose you can call them. And it's big, you know, it's leader class. It's what a blaster should be. You know, Blaster's always been a big figure, and I like it that they went for leader class for him. Now, what's not so good? I think the base mode is really quite forgettable. I'm not going to use it really. I think the radio mode the boombox mode is okay, but the tabs are hard to get in, and they're not the tightest, so they will untab if you're, I guess even if you move it a bit, it does tend to untab, and that's not the best thing, at least in mine. Maybe it's a quality control thing, and not everybody will get the same problem. And I think, lastly, I think it's got some, you know, it's got a stupid accessory. I really don't like this. I mean, it looks okay sitting on the top there, but you know, if you were gonna make, you know, they made it so that it fits in the chest, and that's just a waste. I mean, who wants to keep this in the chest? You know, it's Blaster. He's supposed to have one of these guys in there. So you know, that doesn't impress me at all. Actually, that sleigh mode for the Titan Master, you know, who cares? So those are the weaknesses, and overall I think obviously I got him. It's a good figure. I like the robot, and I'm very glad that we finally have a a solid big chunky blaster to play with. So there we have it, my thoughts and take on Transformers Generations Titans Return Leader Class Blaster. Thank you for watching again, and don't forget to subscribe to keep tabs of the latest videos, and as always I will catch you guys next time.